Oh, that is nice and big.
See? I'm James.
And I'm Bob. I am semi-retired, Bob. It hasn't gone live yet, has it?
Yes, it has.
Oh, okay.
It's a delay.
Oh, it's a delay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I am semi-retired, Bob. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. I'm glad you guys are here. Those of you that follow my channel knew I was coming to Ohio and have correctly guessed who his special guest will be.
Someone said ads, but that's all right.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. That's what happens when you're stupid and don't have a countdown.
Uh-huh. See, I have a...
Last time I did a countdown, it messed everything up. All right, so here we are. And anyone who's followed us knows that Emily has to work the night shift this week, so she wouldn't be back until after the live is over. So Bob said that he would come all the way up from North Carolina to fill in.
Yes. I drove 12 hours just to be here tonight. So what does it she usually say? Is everybody ready to get ready?
Yep, set.
Keto. I can't really say that, though, because I don't do keto. I do carnivore.
All right, new mic. I hope it's all right. Let us know.
Yeah, let us know if you can hear us. He's got a brand new mic here in his studio. This is really pretty, guys. You should really appreciate the picture you're seeing.
Yeah, a lot of hard work and maybe even a few tears. So, all right, I figured since Bob's here, our guest, maybe we could do a Q&A with Bob. Me and Bob and Noah, while Emily's gone, we just totally annihilated a 3-pound chuck roast. We annihilated 3 pounds of burgers and some bacon.
Yeah, he's telling on me just a little bit there, but the reality is that Noah had a taste of the roast, and James had, a chunk about yay big of the roast. And the rest of the 3 pounds of roast went in my belly. It was really, really good. And I had 3 burgers on top of that.
And them were third-pound burgers, so Bob can put away the food.
Yes, I can. Everybody that follows my channel knows Bob is a bottomless pit when it comes to really good food, and that food was really, really good. He apparently made the roast in an Instapot, which of course I'd never had before.
I did. So real quick, I do have a video up of how I do that, and it's the simplest thing ever. I literally sear it in a cast iron with bacon grease and lots of salt. I put it in an Instant Pot, dump the bacon grease back on top. I add just a little bit of beef stock broth, and I cook it for an hour and 20 minutes is what I did tonight, and it was amazing. And I got 3 more pounds in a Dutch oven waiting on Emily to get home.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then the burgers, I'm not sure what kind of grill it was, but he has a big flat top grill. What kind of grill is it?
It's a char griller. It's basically a cheap version of a Blackstone, but I mean, how cheap is it when it's cast iron?
Yeah, it's cast iron. It's huge, flat top, and he made a bunch of burgers on that, and they were really good. And, any food that is beef that I don't have to cook myself is amazing.
I asked Bob on the phone the other day, I said, so what would you like to eat? He said beef. Okay. We'll have all kinds of beef.
And that's what we had.
All right. So there were several people that got it right. That it was you. It wasn't Tucker Carlson.
Too bad. I would have much preferred to be Tucker Carlson. Come on now. How could you not like Tucker Carlson?
And we got 50 watching. That is awesome.
That is amazing. Hello to all 50 of you. Be sure and say hi in the chat if you haven't already. And, if you haven't already, why don't you go ahead and hit the like button? You've stuck around this long. It's free to hit the like button, and it helps you to get things out.
The first time I watched Bob's video, I was really drawn in by the comforting voice of this man who was going to get 1% better, and it just really drew me in, like your talks, and although they didn't start out very long.
No, that first minute I just looked was 3 minutes, 20 seconds.
Yeah, it was. He walked to the corner, and he turned around and went home and said, see you tomorrow. But yeah, after that, like, I don't know, I was always drawn, like, I just told everybody, it's like, you need to watch this guy named Semi-Retired Bob. I think he's going to make a good transition. And he sure did. He passed me up in weight loss.
I'm doing okay. Not by that much. I mean, you're down 109.
108.
108.
108.
That's awesome. And so that means, I mean, I'm only about 39 pounds ahead of you or so.
I know, but I started at 11 months prior than you.
That's because you're keto. Keto is the silver. Carnivore is the gold.
I don't know.
But as you have said before, and I say this on my channel a lot too, it's what you can sustain.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't think you could continue carnivore for months and months and months on end, then accept what keto gives you, be happy with what keto gives you, and know that you're going to be able to stick to it for the rest of your life.
And that's what I do like about it, is I do feel that I can stick with it for the rest of my life. And, me and Emily talk all the time, and we have no desire to go back to the old at all.
Sure.
Even if I was told that I wouldn't gain any weight, even if someone said, take a pill, you won't gain no weight, this and that, eat whatever you want. I still don't like how instantly my knee hurts if I have something bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like the pain, and I don't like falling asleep all the time.
Yeah, and this whole take a pill thing. Look, folks, if you're out there, sorry, my glasses are sliding down, but if you're one of these people that I'm not going to name the drug by name, but we all know which drugs I'm talking about. The newest drugs that were originally designed for type 2 diabetes that are now being promoted as weight loss drugs. You need to pay very close attention to how those work, because if you don't continue to take them at $1,200 a month or so, it may have even gone up since it's gotten even more popular, you are stuck taking those for the rest of your life, or you are doomed to be even fatter, because it actually, the way your body normally works is your fat cells can only grow just so much, and you don't make extra fat cells. You have the fat cells that you have, and then when they get too big, they start leaking, and that's where high triglycerides come from, and a whole host of other problems. But this new drug actually splits your fat cells so that you make new fat cells.
So you have more.
So you have more. So that if you don't continue to take the drug and you start eating carbs and your body goes into a storage mode,
mm-hmm.
you can get twice as big as you were before, because you will have more fat cells.
We're learning more on this channel in the last 5 minutes than we've done in a year and a half that we've had it.
Yeah, well, I'm no expert, but I do read and watch a lot.
No, I'm just saying, you've given out more information than we
Mm-hmm.
have in a year and a half.
So yeah, I'm not saying I'm against diet drugs, but you want to be very, very careful and make sure you know what you're getting into before you go that route.
Dustin wants to know how I lured you into my basement. You need to be more cautious, Bob.
Yeah, well, I actually came over to see Noah, because he's doing really well, and James said, "Hey, I've got some roast here," and he held the plate of roast up in front of me and slowly walked down the stairs with it in front of me. And you know me, I'll go pretty much anywhere for 3 pounds of roast.
True story.
By the way, Kat was the first person to guess Bob.
Kat was the first person to guess Bob.
Yeah, we saw that when the car went in. And there's
Like he said that too. A trail of steak.
a trail of steak. Yep.
Paula says glad you made it to Ohio, and you look absolutely awesome.
Well, thanks, Paula. I think I do look pretty good. See, I've got I'm backwards here. No,
you're showing right.
okay. The original design of the Semi-Retired Bob logo that ended up not making the cut. But I'd already ordered the shirt, and I'm certainly not going to throw away a shirt that fits. Of course, this shirt fit 6 months ago. It's now really big. As is this shirt. This shirt is enormous on me. I got to Ohio,
Yeah.
and I was talking to my sister and her husband about one of the things facing me is I have to buy all new warm clothes. And David's like, well, here. And he gives me these 2 flannel shirts, which are very warm. But I did not have the heart to tell him that they were miles and miles too big, because he's always been the skinny one in the family. And I'm so much smaller than he is now. But he's a prepper, just like me. I would actually call him a hoarder. But I say, you sure you're not going to miss those? Because he gave me 2 really nice brand new flannel shirts right in the package still. And he's like, oh no, I just took those off the top of the stack. I got like 15 more of them in the closet that I haven't worn yet.
Well, you're probably at the size. You probably did it right. I'm guessing you're probably a medium.
Between a medium and a large, I don't like super tight t-shirts because, well, we've talked about the chest fat quite a few times, but also because of my ribs. My sternum sticks out, which I showed you, but the bottom half of my rib cage sticks out like that too, because I had so much visceral fat when I had my heart surgery that they had a really hard time getting my chest cavity closed again. In fact, all of the nurses that work on the cardiac unit at the hospital I was at, the nurses that are going to be working on your case have to observe your surgery so they know everything that went on. And Sam, who was the guy's name, amazing nurse, by the way, but Sam was saying, yeah, I wasn't sure they were going to get you closed because he had the wires wrapped around your sternum and was pulling on them so hard that your body was literally lifting 8 to 12 inches off the table each time he jerked on the wires to close your sternum.
And how much did you weigh back then?
About 350 pounds.
Really? And what are you now?
173.
You're half the man you used to be.
Absolutely.
I wish I could be half the man I was. But 315, if you take that off, that puts me at about 157.
And at your height, that's probably a little bit too thin.
Yeah.
You might make 175 and still look healthy, but if you get all the way down to 150, you're probably going to look stringy. Because you're tall. You're a lot taller than I am. No, I know it doesn't look like it when we're sitting here on these stools, but you're a lot taller than I am.
Well, yeah, I got that bad posture from having that belly that pulled me down all these years. I still have to break that habit of slouching.
Yeah. Well, let's take a quick look at the comments and see if there's any questions we've missed. Say hello to some people.
Connie says, yay, Bob's in the house. All right, so yeah, if I didn't say hi to everybody like we normally do, it's because I'm not used to having Bob here.
Yeah.
So,
And I talk. Anybody that follows my channel knows I love the sound of my own voice. I can talk forever and not really say anything.
Sherry says that Dr. Silas has a new video about Jardiance in that class. Scary.
Yeah, Jardiance. I actually took Jardiance for 1 month back when I was first diagnosed with diabetes, because my doctor had a card that got me a free prescription of it.
And he probably got a kickback?
I don't know. It was free to me, but then I went back in, and because I was self-pay at the time, I went back in, and the refill for 1 month was going to be like $840. And I'm sure it's come down now, but when you're paying for your own, that's way too much money. So I went back to the doctor and said, what can we do? He's like, well, it's basically metformin with blood pressure medicine mixed into it. So here, let me just give you metformin. And now that I know how that works, I wish he'd just given me nothing and told me to stop dumping carbs down my neck, because that's really the way you lower your blood sugar. All the medicines in the world have side effects, and, I didn't realize it until I watched, Dr. Boz was talking about it, and Professor K was, shall we say, taking issue with her saying metformin is a harmless drug, because anybody that's watched Professor K knows that what the Randall cycle is, and basically each cell has the ability to lock its door so that you can't put any more sugar or fat, depending on what you're burning, so that you can't put any more in it and overload the cell. Well, what metformin does is it overrides that locking mechanism and forces more glucose into your cell, which is just, yes, it lowers your blood sugar, But the metformin forces all that glucose into your cells, which causes damage to those cells. So metformin, regardless of what they want to say, is not a harmless drug. It's much less harmful than many of the other types of diabetes drugs you can get. But it's certainly not harmless.
All right, well, let me just say real quick, if you have not followed Semi-Retired Bob, if you've been under a rock and didn't know who he was, that is his channel name, Semi-Retired Bob, and he puts out a lot of content, a lot of walking. You can hit play on YouTube and put your earbuds in and go for a walk with Bob.
Yes, neat. Thanks for that. And, you're already tuned in here, so I don't need to tell you how to find his channel because you're already here.
Dustin says, I know I was big enough at my heaviest that it actually caused my sternum to deform.
Yes. And, I'm not going to lift my shirt up because I don't do that on camera.
Yeah.
But, just standing up, and if I turn to the side, you can see the big knot sticking out. That's my sternum sticking out right there. And that's why you're never going to see me take my shirt off on camera.
Well, Sherry Cooper says, why is it that we're encouraged to drink water all day long when in the 70s and 80s nobody carried water around all day and drank as much as we are these days?
That's an excellent question. A lot of it has to do that we don't have, in the 70s you didn't eat all day long either.
Correct.
You ate once or 2 or 3 times a day. You got up, you had your breakfast, and then you were done until lunchtime, and then you were done until dinner. But we're now eating all the cookies and cakes and bagels and snack bars and all that other stuff. And what's the one thing that all of those have in them, not counting, of course they all have processed grains and processed seed oils, but they also all have salt. And what's the one thing that makes you thirsty? Salt.
Salt.
I would suspect that that's why people started drinking more water, and then they, without knowing why, they realized that they felt better when they drank more water. And now again, I have no scientific backing on this. I have no research studies to prove what I'm saying, but I would suggest that because we started getting lots and lots more salt scattered throughout the day, that we then had to get a bottle of water to wash it down with.
I know in the 70s and 80s I drank out of the garden hose. That's why I didn't carry a bottle around.
Yeah, I did that in the 60s.
If I took Mom's Tupperware cups outside, I was in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Blank says, Bob looks great.
Thank you.
Lady Fritzer says, sounds like you got the echo thing really figured out, James. Bob sounds great too.
Yeah. I'm glad you're sound. I'm looking forward to going home tonight and watching the replay of this.
Oh.
So that I can listen to it and see how all the sound came out.
Well, I hope it came out good.
I'm sure it did.
This thing here, if I had hair, I wouldn't now. Paula says, I don't need to be 150 pounds. You look terrific, and I'm sure Emily is pretty happy with you as you are with her. Absolutely. I tell Emily she doesn't need to lose any more weight.
She doesn't. I haven't actually seen her in person yet, but just from what I can see on camera.
Yeah. No,
if she never loses another pound, she should be extremely happy.
I think Emily's very healthy, and she don't need to lose any more weight.
Well, you're extremely healthy, too. You don't really need to lose more weight. I think you probably have a little more weight to lose.
Yeah, I do.
But
I got the... unfortunately, I lost the weight out of my legs first.
Uh-huh.
That's a little humor going on from above.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take all the weight out of his legs and make him look like Gru from Despicable Me. Mr. Bob, do you have any suggestions to stop being lazy? The weather is warming a bit, but a list of things to do can be depressing.
Yeah, well, don't give yourself a list of things to do. When you get up in the morning, look at what you did yesterday and try to be 1% better. do 1% more the next day. And then do 1% more the next day. And it will slowly grow. The other thing that you can do to stop being lazy is keep your why. And everybody's why is different. My why is in 2025, I want to go hike the Appalachian Trail. Previously, my why was I want to be able to stand for more than 2.5 minutes without severe pain. But your why is different. My why is not your why. So whatever that why is, whether it's just being healthier, which I think is okay for only about 10% of the people. You need a why like I want to be able to walk my dog, I want to take my grandkids to the zoo, whatever it is that gets you out of bed in the morning, because this is the thing you want to do. You need to keep that right in front of you at all times so that you not just continue to eat the correct foods, but do what needs to be done to achieve those goals that you want. You know, because yeah, it's all fine and dandy to say, I want to be able to take my grandkids to the zoo, but are you willing to get up and walk a little further each day, or do a few more chair squats, or whatever it is each day? Just, you only have to increase by 1% a day, but are you willing to continue to do that 1% a day to get to where you wanted to be, like to be able to take your grandkids to the zoo? I think I covered that.
How good of advice is just 1%? Who can say that I can't do 1 more percent?
You know, and if you truly can't do one, you know, if you're one of these people that you're already at your limits, even if you only take, let's say you're walking down to the mailbox and back, and that just wipes you out, well, instead of figuring out what 1% is, go 1 step past the mailbox tomorrow. And the day after that, take 2 steps. But the idea of 1% is just that. It's an idea, but I see what you're saying. I mean, there aren't very many of those people that can't do 1% more.
Yeah.
And to give you an idea of where all that went, if you go back and look at my September the 1st video, the first he talked about this already, my very first walking video was 3 minutes and 20 seconds long. I walked down to the corner and back, and I was done. And then if you go back to this last month, I didn't quite make it because the weather turned really cold and rainy on me. But for the first 24 days or so of this month, I got to 15,000 steps a day, which is about 6 3/4 miles.
Yeah. And for everyone just tuning in, Emily thought it would be funny to see what would happen if she gave up coffee, and this is what happened. No. Emily will be home right about the time that this live stream ends. So I went outside and I grabbed the first person I seen, and it was Bob.
So here I am.
So here he is.
And hello, Rick, and hello, Buck.
Joanna still remembers the taste of hose water. It did have a taste.
Oh, yeah. And that was before we worried about things like that. We didn't have separate hoses for drinking fountains and filling the horse trough and doing what else. The hose was the hose. And if something happened and the hose wasn't working, you dunked your head in the horse trough.
Buck says, from what I heard, there was a study saying X amount of water per day is needed, but they included the water in consumed food also. And carbs make us thirsty. Okay, well, I'm not a doctor. My thinking says that when my mouth is dry and my body says, stop what you're doing, you're thirsty, that's probably when I need water. I would think. I think that God gave us that ability to tell if we need water or not. Just like if we need salt or if we need food.
Absolutely. But he does, that brings up another point there, Buck. Good catch there. Not so much that there was not really a study that said we need X amount of water, but they included a daily water intake in those really ridiculous 1980 food guidelines, where they had the food guidelines came out in 1977, and then the food pyramid arrives in 1980, I think it was. And they included water in all that. So they decided what the correct amount was and said, this is what everybody has to do. So, that gave birth to all of the people selling cups that had markings on the side of them. so that you could tell how much water you've been drinking.
And yeah, I still see them more and more and more.
Oh, yeah.
The ones that say almost done. It's like a job to get through a gallon of water a day.
Yeah. I have something very similar to that, but it's on my coffee cup. And at the top it says, shh. The next line down says, not yet. And the line at the bottom says, now you may speak.
I don't know what Alan said, build muscle in that legs. I don't know what that meant. Rickwin says, every time I think we're done with pollen, something else is blooming. Spring and winter are mixed up this year. It's been a mess.
It has been very messy this year.
And you know what's crazy is it seems like every weekend, at least here, we have like 2 to 3 to 4 inches of rain, followed by the next day of like 45 and 55 mile an hour winds that just wreak havoc. It's really weird pattern lately.
And I should have gone home before I came here, even though this is on my way to home, because it's 20 degrees warmer in Omaha than it is in Ohio today. How crazy is that?
All right, so Mary, which is Marbear, says, I'm sorry, I'm new to Bob. How long has he done keto, and what victories has he had?
Oh boy, that's a big question.
That is.
I have been carnivore. I don't do keto. I am carnivore. I've been carnivore since the day before my 59th birthday, which was May the 9th of last year. Let's see here. Since then, I'm down about 145 pounds, but that's just a side effect. As I stated earlier in the video, I started it not for weight loss, but in an attempt to be able to stand up for more than 2 to 2.5 minutes without severe pain. But victories, let's see here. My fatty liver disease is gone. My stage 1 chronic kidney disease is gone. My type 2 diabetes is gone. My A1C went from 10.3 to 4.8. My arthritis is 95% better at this point. When I first started, one of the things I wanted to try and fix was my arthritis pain. And this was about as good a fist as I could make before I started this diet, this way of eating, this way of life.
When you were showing me that, I looked actually in the screen to see it.
And now,
that was weird.
My hands work just fine. I can stand up and I can sit down. I can do all that.
Yeah.
And
you look totally healthy.
And I've been walking, like I said, 6.25 miles a day roughly. My biggest day so far was about a month ago. I did just under 15 miles that day.
I bet you slept good that night.
Not really. My leg was a little sore. But it felt fine the next morning when I did finally wake up.
When I worked at the prison, I'd work the yard sometimes, and we'd walk probably 10 miles all night long walking. And, oh, man, I'd get home, and I'd lay down. I couldn't wait to lay down. But as soon as I did, my legs would throb as soon as I took weight off of them, and I'd get back up. I'd be like, oh, this is miserable. And I would, like, kick my legs for a couple hours at night just to be able to go to sleep because they hurt so bad.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I like about being at my sister's house. The thing to do is, of course, you sit down in a tub of water as hot as you can stand it.
Yeah.
And I don't have a bathtub that I use at home. I just take showers. But my sister has I like to once or twice a year go to her house and take a swim in her bathtub because I don't know where she found it, but it's ginormous. When I'm sitting in her tub, sitting down, my arms are like up here to put them on the edge. And you can literally fill the tub up to shoulder depth and just sit there in hot water. It's wonderful.
My dehumidifier was getting ready to kick on.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, so that's just a few minor small-scale victories.
Yeah, anyone who's never watched Bob's videos, I do believe his September challenge you'll find a lot of inspiration from. You can start from his September walk challenge, and you can see how it gets longer every day. Mm-hmm. And that was his the 1%.
Yeah, and when I started, I was wearing size 58 pants, wow. And now I wear size 36, and they're a little loose.
All right. Buck says, for some people, the why is, I want to put my shoes on without being unable to breathe. I want to be able to get up off the floor without a struggle.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. In the last year, I was working a very part-time job, and I missed a couple of days just before I retired because I could not reach my feet to put socks on that day.
Tampa Jan's here.
Tampa Jan, she's home and recovering from back surgery, feeling great. She can walk a little. She's 1% better every day. If you guys, and I'll let Tampa Jan tell you in the comments herself exactly how long it was that she couldn't get out of bed, but she is now, for the first time in, I believe, a year, getting out of bed on her own and standing up. So Tampa Jan is doing awesome. I'm glad you're here, Tampa Jan.
Joanna upped her walk by 15 minutes and added yoga. It's really made a difference, down 5 pounds in a week.
Awesome. Good job, Joanna. That deserves a high five and a fist bump. That's something I do on my live streams.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Dustin subscribed to Semi-Retired Bob's channel. There you go. Sherry says, do you recommend taking daily supplements? And if so, which ones are the best for keto or carnivore? Thank you in advance. Now, first off, we are not doctors. And even though Bob plays a really good one on TV. So that was just the disclaimer. Take it away, Bob.
The very best supplement is beef. Absolutely beef. If you're just starting out, you're probably going to want to take some kind of electrolytes. I know a lot of people in this space talk about element. I personally use Keto Chow Daily Minerals. It was designed for them by Dr. Berry in conjunction with Dr. Berry, and it has everything you need in there to keep your electrolytes up. Depending on some of your other health that you may want to keep track of, I know a lot of people take a couple of drops of Lugol's 2% iodine.
We take that.
Because some people need iodine more than others. But everybody needs a little bit. There is some in beef, but for some people that's not enough, especially if you have some kind of a thyroid condition. Other than that, it really depends on, it's a very specific person-to-person thing. And for that, I would suggest talking to Dr. Berry or talking to any of the smaller YouTubers. ReadySetKeto, not ReadySetKeto.
Not
Two Crazy Ketos has what do they call it? Their coaching.
Yeah.
They do coaching. You could ask them the question. I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on TV, but my email is on my channel. If you'd like to send me an email, I'm happy to give a stab at it just to say what I think my opinion would be. But you should probably go to a certified coach of some sort or a doctor and see what is there. I have recently, just within the last week and a half, because I noticed the skin on my legs was getting kind of just a little on the creepy looking.
Like dry?
Yeah, like dry.
Okay.
Just kind of dry and icky. And I haven't taken them every day because I've been traveling, but every time I remember over the last week, I've added, oh gosh, what is that stuff? The collagen.
Collagen,
Collagen
yes.
peptide powder into my coffee. And that seems to have helped my skin a lot in a very short amount of time. So perhaps because I'm primarily a ground beef eater, I was not getting a lot of connective tissue. So perhaps collagen is something.
That's the first thing you thought of with dry skin?
Yeah.
It wasn't lotion?
No. No, because I have lotion.
Oh.
Do you know a 60-year-old that does not have some kind of lotion in their house? Yeah, you probably don't even know very many 60-year-olds.
I don't.
I mean, that's what's really sad. You know, I like to think of, because we're both in this space, sometimes it's easy to forget how much older than these guys I am. I am almost 60, and I'm not so sure you were even born when I signed on the dotted line to go away to the Army.
I'm 45.
Okay, so you were like...
I just found it odd.
You were like 5 years old.
Yeah. I would never think of collagen for skin because everybody I always hear, everyone talks about hair and nails, mostly my wife.
Mm-hmm. But skin,
Yeah.
collagen is the building block of everything. I mean, there's a lot of building blocks. Cholesterol. Every cell in your body has cholesterol in it. So don't let people tell you that you need to lower your cholesterol because that's wrong.
Oh, we always fall behind. Always fall behind.
Well, you're falling even further behind because I like to talk.
That's all right. Paula says, in my ranch, we still drink from the hose and dump our heads in the horse trough. It won't kill you.
She's right.
It definitely won't.
Mm-hmm.
Sana says, my allergy symptoms are 99% gone after 4 years keto, but my nose still gets red at the tip, so I still need that 1% better. Dustin says, since I've been keto, I've not been bothered by my allergies. I used to take too much meds to keep from sneezing and my eyes from itching.
Mm-hmm.
Keto Simple says, what does your GP think about all of this, Bob?
I don't know because I don't have a GP right now. I fired him just before I went south because at that time I was down 85 pounds. All of my other things had gotten corrected. The type 2 diabetes, the fatty liver, the stage 1 chronic kidney disease. All those markers were lower than they'd been in decades. And all he wanted to talk about was the fact that my LDL was up just a little bit. And it wasn't super sky high. It was like 160, which is high by normal American diet standards, but that's in no way is that high. And all he wanted to do was talk about statin. And I said, no, I'm not going to take a statin. And he's like, well, here, let me send you some of this stuff I've got. I said, there's no research you can send me that will convince me to take a statin because there is no actual research that shows statins are beneficial. And he's like, of course there is. I'm like, wow, dude, you're so far behind in your reading. I just can't let you be my doctor anymore. So please package up my records. My new doctor will be contacting you at some point. And I have not gotten a new doctor because I haven't been home. Luckily, my cardiologist, who I like a lot, is a keto cardiologist. So he thinks everything's just fine and dandy.
That's great. I know my doctor is not like against it, but I think they kind of push like the Mediterranean. You know what I mean? They're kind of like.
The next time one of those doctors asks you to go on a Mediterranean diet, just say, that sounds like a great idea. Could you please explain that to me?
I'm guessing they'll probably say it's no sugar and no processed food.
That and there's really no such thing as a Mediterranean diet because people in Italy eat many different things than the people in Greece.
Yeah.
And they don't eat the same things that they eat in Israel. And they don't eat the same things that they eat in Northern Africa or France or Spain. And those are all Mediterranean countries.
But I bet they don't eat the crap that we eat.
No.
Not we. I mean us
right.
Over here in
I
the
understand.
country.
Yeah. And to truly be a Mediterranean diet, in Italy, they eat a lot of meat.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say, well, I'm doing a modified version. If your doctor says, what are you eating? I always either say, I'm eating a proper human diet, which is Dr. Berry's terms, or I say, I'm doing kind of a modified Mediterranean. I never tell the doctor I'm eating exclusively meat, except my cardiologist who's like, what exactly have you done? Because you're down 85 pounds from the last time I saw you. And then when I see him in the spring here, I've actually got an appointment like 3 weeks to see him. It'd be interesting to see what he says now that I'm down 140 plus. About 145.
He might not even recognize you.
No, well, and because when I went in the last time and was down, I think I was at 80 or 85 pounds down the last time I saw him.
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
Is he?
Yeah, and he's like, well, I need to look into some of this more, even though he's keto. Well, he says he's keto. He's keto friendly. He knows about keto and has no problem with it. But he's a large, portly man. And he's very shocking to meet because his name is Salfidi.
Mm-hmm.
He's an Indian, not American, Native
Yeah.
American, but he's from India. And most people, now I know this is stereotyping, but most people, when you hear the Indian accent talking to you on the phone, you always picture these tiny little petite doctors from over there. And Dr. Salfidi is 6'6" and weighs about 400 pounds.
Really?
And it's not all fat. I mean, he's got some muscle. He's a big guy. He's got some muscle on him.
Sounds like he was made to be a chiropractor.
Yeah, except he's a cardiologist.
I remember my dad going to the chiropractor, and this guy, I thought he was breaking my dad when I was little. I was like, what are you doing?
Got a lot of people talking to him.
Vicky says it's pouring rain here. It's supposed to rain here tomorrow, I think, all day.
Yeah, I saw that. Good thing I don't have anything to do tomorrow except go over and visit Mom 2 or 3 times.
When are you heading back to Nebraska?
Monday.
Monday.
Because my sister and her husband are traveling Sunday. They'll be within a few hundred miles of here when they get up Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So they're planning on being back in time. Of course, they have to get their dog out of boarding before 5 o'clock. And Janet's planning on taking care of Mom, stopping over to see her in the afternoon. So I'm going to leave her morning snack out for her the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get up Monday morning, I'm going to go. So there will be about a 6-hour lag. But I had thought about staying till Tuesday, but my sister and her husband are going to be tired. They've been traveling all week. They're going to be coming back from Florida. And they're not used to driving like I am.
And they cut the fat off the roast.
I couldn't believe it. He was in there they went out and bought a roast specifically for me so that they could have it the one night we were going to be in town together. And I'm out there watching David put it in, and he's out there trimming the fat off this roast. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't like a fatty roast.
You just said, well, it's mine.
Oh. I just had to turn around and walk away before I said something stupid.
All right, here's a good comment. Was listening to Stephanie, Keto person. She was saying that it's not good to eat store-bought eggs. Hopefully that's not true because that's all we can afford, but they don't seem to bother me.
Well, that's just it. You know, we were having this conversation about meat earlier today.
Absolutely.
And are farm fresh eggs better than store-bought eggs? Absolutely. Is there anything wrong with store-bought eggs? No. They don't have quite the same nutrition as a farm fresh egg does, but you have to consider the availability and the cost and everything that's involved. You might get 10% more nutrition out of a farm fresh egg, but it also might cost twice as much. And as long as you're not having any reactions to them, that's and how much is enough? Enough is a very relative term for people. I mean, the whole argument about how raw beef is better for you than cooked beef.
Mm-hmm.
Well, technically, yes, but we have multiple decade carnivores out there that have eaten nothing but cooked meat. So obviously, there's enough nutrition in cooked meat. Is there a little more in raw? Yeah, but do you really want to eat a raw steak? I sure don't.
No.
I have no desire to eat a raw steak.
And how much better can anyone do than what you can afford?
Right. See, that's just it. You have to balance everything primarily on what you can afford and what you can sustain. You know, we talked about that this already in this.
I mean, you can't bankrupt, I'm not going to put grass-fed beef on my credit card.
Right. And, unlike certain institutions that reside, say, in Washington, D.C., they won't let me run trillions of dollars of debt just because I want to eat grass-finished beef and farm-raised eggs. They won't let me do that. I might be able to charge it to my card for a little while, but after a while, if I don't pay those bills, they're going to come get me, and they're going to take me off to jail.
Yeah, me and Bob both agree. We both like Vienna sausage.
Absolutely.
And all you can do is what you can afford. As a matter of fact, I mean, there's been times that we could have afforded grass-fed beef.
Yeah.
Grass-finished. But sometimes it's, at what point? At what point do you say, I would love to eat it all the time, but you just can't. And heaven forbid, 1 week when I have a little extra money, I could afford it. But what if I like it?
Yeah. And I don't know who this keto person is that she was listening to, but anybody that's that dogmatic that says that this food is not good for you. It was Dr. Chafee that said it the best, I think. Yes, grass-finished beef is the gold medal at the Olympics. It's the very best there is. But grain-finished is the silver medal. And while it might not be as good as the gold medal, it's still better than everything else. Same thing with eggs. Are store-bought eggs as good? No, but they're still better than everything else. I hope that helps, Vicky.
Jazz Puppy says, congrats on great success, Bob.
Thank you, Jazz Puppy.
And Paula says, I raise chickens and turkeys and ducks, and their eggs are fabulous.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Rickwin mentioned the same thing.
Yeah, Dr. Barry mentions many times you buy the eggs, meat, and butter that you can afford. If you can't afford Panda massage meat, then buy the best you can. And that's all you can do is what you can afford. You know, I mean, if you have $60 a month left over after you pay your bills, then you're going to have to figure out what you can afford in $60, and it sure can't be.
It sounds like ground beef eggs and maybe some Spam.
It sounds
and
like
a Vienna sausage to travel with.
It sounds, yes.
And Keto Simple says basically the same thing.
Yes.
You guys are both exactly right. Hello, Jackie's Jinx Journey.
Yep, she's going to GFS for chorizo.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what GFS is, and I don't know what chorizo is.
It's Gordon Food Service, and chorizo, I believe, is like a Mexican seasoned. They sell it at Mexican markets.
Oh, okay.
It's like a sausage, Mexican sausage.
Oh, okay. Sounds like good.
Joanna says, I use oil on my body. Lotion doesn't help my dry skin.
Bacon grease. Absolutely. Bacon grease is the best skin moisturizer there is.
Just make sure there's no animals around. You don't want to walk out and get attacked by a coyote. Watch out for coyotes if you put the bacon grease on the skin. Marcy does the added collagen for her skin in my 60s. The added collagen.
And see, Miss
Storage
Sana
says, I'll be 70 this year. Tallow on the skin is amazing.
See?
They got crocodiles, alligators in Florida.
Yeah. And she's putting tallow on her skin, going outside.
Deb says 60 is nowhere near old.
Yeah, but you have no idea how crippled I was before I started this.
Buck says, I asked Dr. Barry the other night if sunglasses are BS like sunscreen. He said probably. You know, I've never thought of wearing sunglasses to protect my eyes. I've just thought of wearing sunglasses, well, two reasons. One, to look cool, of course.
Absolutely.
And two, to make me be able to see while I'm driving.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go back, I was noticing in the September challenge, there were a couple of videos where I commented like, wow, that sun's really bright out here today. And it's because I'd forgotten to put my glasses on. And absolutely, if you're used to your eyes being shaded.
Rickman says, I'm in my 70s. I wish had stayed on Dr. Atkins' diet that I was on back in the day.
Yeah. Now, I had heard of Dr. Atkins' diet when it came out, and I even have heard of keto over the year. But remember, when I first started all this, started getting sick back in 83 when I was discharged from the Army because I had gout, it was known fact that eating meat made gout worse. In fact, that's what caused it.
A known fact.
Known fact. Absolute positive fact. And, well, if you want to know the whole story behind it, I'm not going to take up any more time on your live stream with that. But it's basically everything I knew as fact for 40 years as what causes gout and all of that. Absolute fiction. And if you were to go to Dr. Google right now and type in gout diet, the first 15 or 20 things that pop up on the screen will be the exact same handouts I was given in 1983, and it's the exact same handouts that are completely wrong.
Yeah. I've used Dr. Berry's resource for finding a doctor, but don't find a single one that accepts Medicare.
Yeah, that can be a problem. You know what I would do, since like me, you're on state-assisted or federally assisted health care. Just go to the doctors you can, but get a copy of Dr. Berry's book. It's the Labs book. Do you remember what that's called?
Common Sense Labs.
Yeah, Common Sense Labs.
Mm-hmm.
It's available both on his channel and on Kim Howerton's channel because they wrote it together. And just use that as your own personal resource. Go to the doctor, let him run his tests. He's going to recommend all sorts of crazy drugs and say no thank you. Then check your lab results against the charts in the Common Sense Labs. And if you see something that's way out of whack, address that.
Have you read that book?
Yeah, I got it in pre-release.
Oh, okay.
I
haven't read it, so I didn't know.
Yeah, I got the pre-release PDF before they even started printing.
So is that basically something that you can compare your labs to that book?
Yeah, it's actually very well laid out. It has what labs you should be getting.
Mm-hmm.
If your doctor does not know how to bill the labs, it has all of the codes for common billing to get Medicare and most insurances to actually pay for that lab.
See, I didn't know.
And then it tells you what the recommended ranges are, but it also has what he and Kim suspect are the correct ranges for those that eat a proper human diet.
So it has nothing to do with dogs?
No.
No labs?
No.
All right. That's so wrong. Lady Fritzer says, "Hey Bob, are you now a regular for Thursdays on RSK?" That's awesome.
No. This is it. I have to go back. My sister's house is about 35 minutes up the road. I'm going back up there to take care of Mom for the next several days, and then on Monday I'm getting in my car and driving back to.
But you're still going to continue your lives when you get home.
Oh
right?
yeah, my lives are on Friday night at 4:15 Central. I may adjust that back a little bit depending on, I don't know if anybody's picked up your old time slot or not, but
I don't think so.
But I may make it a little later, but it's Friday evening is when my live streams are going to be, and I'm going to start those up again next Friday.
And you're not going to go out to the trailer to do it?
Not tomorrow. No, I'm looking forward to being home for a couple of things. Having my studio back is one of them, and not having to start today's upload at 10 o'clock last night and pray that it gets done by 2 o'clock the next afternoon, where an average 20-minute video takes me less than 2 minutes to upload at home.
Sheila says, "Where in Ohio, Bob?"
Well, Janet lives in Fairborn,
Mm-hmm.
which is outside of Dayton, and I don't know, this is, what are we, about halfway between Dayton and Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A few exits south of where 75 and 675 come together, because it was really easy to get here. I came all the way down 675 and then got off at the exit my GPS told me to get off at, and then had a nice little drive along a river, and here I am.
Yeah, so Bob's family lives here, but he lives in Nebraska for some reason.
I threw a dart at a map back in 1990.
You should have threw it south. You had horrible aim, Bob. Lou says, "Everyone, I'm a little late. Great to see you have Bob on today." Yes, so happy. Bob was actually supposed to stop in last fall, but it was too cold and he left quick.
Yep. Yeah, if there's a threat of snow when I come through Ohio, I don't stop. I just keep going south.
Joanna says, "I now eat my steaks and burgers medium rare, something new since going keto. My whole palate has changed." And we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
There's 50 different ways to make a burger.
Yeah. And I don't mind them like that. Medium rare, red in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But I prefer them cooked all the way through with crispy on the outside.
Yeah, burgers.
Juicy and nice, especially burgers.
Now, steak is the opposite.
Yeah.
Steak, I like a good medium. I can even do medium rare steak.
Yeah, I don't mind medium steak as long as it's still, and if it comes off and it's all medium all the way through, I have a little torch thingy at home. I can sear the outside of it with a handheld torch to make it crispy on the outside.
Keto Simple says, I'd go broke going through 10 dozen farm eggs every other week.
Yeah, see? A lot of people eat a lot of eggs.
George says, I'd love to hear my doc say that.
Mm-hmm. And Keto Simple makes a very good point there that's absolutely correct. Cooking our food is what really kicked off our evolution and brain growth. There are several really good people to watch for that kind of stuff. Of course, everybody knows who Professor K is, but there's an entire reading list of people that most of you aren't going to be interested in them, but it's a lot of anthropology books.
And Buck says, chorizo is a sausage.
Okay.
Hookah says, I have dogs. No bacon grease on my skin.
Okay, so use tallow. Your dogs will love you for it.
Yeah. Buck says 60's the new 40.
You keep telling yourself that. 60 is 60 and 40 is 40. And if I could go back, I would definitely go back to being 40, especially if I get to keep what I know now, because I could have 20 extra years of being healthy.
Okay, so Sana said, sad that so many rumors are still spread to this day that Dr. Atkins died of a heart attack. I believe Dr. Atkins, yes, says, yeah, he slipped on ice.
He did.
Yeah, he was shoveling snow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
He slipped on ice and was found unconscious because he smashed his head on the ground.
Yes.
And he may have actually died of a cardiac problem, but that cardiac problem was caused by the drugs that they gave him in the hospital to treat his head wound. So while it may not actually be a lie that he died of cardiac dysfunction, the reason he had cardiac dysfunction is because he fell on the ice and smashed his head open and was unconscious when he was found by his assistant, by the way. He did not keel over from a heart attack. It was the slip on the ice that caused it all.
Jackie says, I've got an appointment at the end of April. Can't wait to see what my cholesterol is doing. 6 months ago, she had a note that said her high-fat diet is showing high numbers, gearing up for that no to statins fight. I don't see a fight at all.
There's no fight. Just say, I'm not taking them. You can prescribe them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fill the prescription. I'm not going to take them. I can tell you from personal experience. I didn't realize it while it was happening, but I was on statins for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to taking statins, I was a human calculator.
Mm-hmm.
I can recall facts and figures that I've ever heard before. Not an eidetic memory, but very close to it. And it is starting to come back now that I've been off statins for 10 and a half months. But now that I'm no longer under the brain fog of the statins,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell how much brain function I have lost in 8 years. There's no fight. Just don't take them.
Jackie says, Bob, if you're still in or near Ohio 1st of May, you need to come to the Indy meetup.
I looked at all those dates, and I missed the Ohio meetup by 1 day because I started traveling up here on the 26th. And next Monday is I believe Friday is the 1st. No, tomorrow's the 31st, so 1st, 2nd, 3rd. I will be traveling home on April the 3rd.
Bob will be at the Hard to Kill Summit, though, in Omaha.
I will be at the Hard to Kill Summit in Omaha if you decide to come out there. And very probable, I mean, I'd put it at better than 95% chance that I'm going to be at Keto Palooza this year.
I really hope you go to Keto Palooza.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope you do. And I hope you go to Omaha, because if I drive all the way to Omaha and you're not there, I'll have to come get you.
Yeah, I will be in Omaha.
Hookah says, I'm the same with burgers, crispy and done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole reason I thought I would be gone when the Omaha convention happened last year, because it was much later. It was in early September last year, I believe, or it might have even been down into October. I thought I would be gone, so I didn't get tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And this year it's in June or July. It's very early. It's coming up pretty quick. I don't know exactly when it is, but it's much earlier, so there's no chance I'll be anywhere but in Omaha. So I'm going to get tickets for that.
I'm calling Emily because it's 8 o'clock and you guys all want to see her face.
Absolutely. How much sooner,
Well, Joe and Rachel don't start until 8:30.
Right. So we can't hang around a little bit if she's almost home.
Hello?
Hey, you're on live. When are you going to be home?
I am?
Yeah, when are you going to be home?
I'm on my way home right now.
I know, but how far are you?
15
Oh,
minutes.
oh, that's not going to work. Well, go ahead and say hi to everybody.
Hello?
All right. See you when you get home. Be careful.
Alright, love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I did get a hi. I'm sorry. But we got Bob. We got Bob. All right.
I know I'm a poor substitute for Emily because she's much cuter than either of us.
All right. Can you address the issue of peeps thinking their doctor has the power to tell them what to take or what to eat? I don't think anyone in this world has a right to tell anybody anything of what they can do.
First of all, you're all adults.
As long as it's not illegal, I don't think you can be told anything to do.
Right. Now, first of all, you're all adults. You can choose or not choose to take the drugs they recommend. And as far as eating, no doctor on the planet should be recommending a diet to you because doctors are not dietitians, and dietitians aren't really dietitians either, but that's a whole nother ball of wax. But most doctors that you go see have been trained in allopathic medicine, which means they've been taught these are the symptoms, this is the diagnosis, this is the prescription I write. They should not be recommending food to you. Most of you, if you're watching this channel and have watched more than 5 Dr. Berry videos, or more than 5 Dr. Sean Baker videos, or more than 5 Dr. Anthony Chafee videos, or more than a couple Professor K videos, you know more about nutrition than 99% of every doctor holding a medical license in this country.
I actually heard doctors, and it could have been Dr. Berry, I don't want to put words in his mouth, that say that someone said that they get like not even 8 hours of nutritional training in all of their years of med school.
Mm-hmm.
Like nutrition in general.
Yeah, and of that 8-hour class, it was Dr. Berry that had the class on that, of what they call nutrition class that he took in medical school. 85% of that was how to take over the feeding of somebody that could not feed themselves, like a burn victim or an accident victim that had to be fed through a feeding tube for a certain amount of time. Very little actual nutrition was taught.
You say you lost a lot of brain function, but you sure remember a lot of stuff.
Well, you have to understand, I don't make a big deal of this, but
you sure remember a lot of stuff.
My IQ is actually, before statins, my IQ was actually 3 points above Albert Einstein.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I
Not that that means anything, but
I have a hard time retaining new information because I still remember all my old phone numbers. When I was a kid, you had to remember all the phone numbers.
area code 614-385-2258. That was my phone number in elementary school.
Connie says, would be great to see Emily there, a rose between two thorns.
That's funny, Connie.
Keto Simple says, doctors get a handful of hours on nutrition. That's it. In all the years they go to school.
Absolutely right.
Scott J's here. Howdy, y'all. Howdy,
Hello, Scott. Glad you could make it.
Lori says, doctors are trained in sickness and disease, not wellness and prevention.
Mm-hmm.
Scott says, little out of sync. I hope not.
Yeah, hard to say. I can't.
Hope not.
Because you've got a delay on this, I can't tell.
Yeah, it's hard because I have both screens up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're watching the one that we can see live, that shows us how we're moving now. And then it's like 30 seconds later when you see the actual
Yeah.
YouTube. So,
Mhm. Yeah, that's exactly right, Keto Simple. They are trained in what pills to write scripts for.
well, Bob, we're not going to make it till Emily gets here. Shall we say goodbye?
Should we say goodbye to each other or say goodbye to them?
We should say goodbye to them.
Oh, okay. Anybody have a last minute question? You got like 45 seconds to get it typed in.
45 seconds.
Do, do, do,
And they got to be PG.
Do, 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 yep. Do, 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 do. Sorry, that's bad. No.
Get in sync and dance.
Uh-huh. Buck says no delay for him, but he doesn't realize that there is
Awesome.
actually delay.
Well, I just hate it like when you're talking and your mouth moves, you know, like the old Bruce Lee films.
Yeah, and that can happen with certain softwares.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.
I'm glad you guys were here tonight because ReadySetKeto is an awesome channel, and I'm glad you were here for their live.
And
Have a great evening, everybody.
Yep. And I do believe that Joe and Rachel will be on at 8:30.
That sounds right.
And 24CIF fan says, real quick, how far do you walk?
On average, about 6 miles a day.
All right. That's it. You guys,
That's it.
thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.